Hey guys, in this video we are going to pick up where we left off in the last video. So if you haven't been following along, in the last video we got the partial floor pan patch fitted and tacked in place. And in this video we're going to burn it in for good and dress the welds. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so right here, this corner won't stay down. So I'm going to use some more sheet metal screws. Put one here and maybe one up here until I get everything in place, and then we can take them out and we can weld those up. So we got the majority of this thing tacked in. I am going to hold off on that piece because I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace some of that yet. So we're going to leave that open. We're going to treat it as a separate patch. So once we get the entire floor pan welded in up to this point, then we'll tackle this. So we're going to go ahead and focus on getting all of this welded up, along with the plug welds across the flanges and the plug welds along the inner rocker. So as far as filling in all these gaps, basically we're just going to keep tack welding until everything's full. So we'll start at this end down here, and we'll just keep tacking the whole way around on these two sides, and then we just, every time we get to the end, we start over and come down, and by the time we're done, everything will be tacked up. And remember to use the existing tacks to build out the welds, right? The first tacks that you put in can be a little challenging to get in place, but once you get them in, you have them to build off of. So that's how you avoid burn through, especially with these larger gaps like I have here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and fill in these plug welds. And what you want is basically no gap between the top pan and the bottom pan. So you'll see me taking the body hammer and tapping these down before I weld, because I'm not going to be able to get vice grips in here. And if I have a place like over here where it just wants to stay up, that's when I use sheet metal screws to hold it down. So if I have to put a sheet metal screw on each one of these to get this to touch, that's what I'll do, and then I'll go back and fill in the sheet metal screws. Alright, we'll go ahead and get set up and put our plug welds in. Alright guys, we got the plug welds in and we got the screw holes filled. So now we're going to go underneath and plug weld the floor pan to the inner rocker. But first I'm going to double check my measurements that I had here, just to make sure we're close, and then we'll go underneath. Alright guys, here's why you want to take measurements. So that mark should be at 2 inches and I'm at 1.5. So I'm high on this end, whereas here I have 2.25, and I'm right on. So what I need to do And I can see this is kind of lifted up a little bit, is I need to pry this down and then clamp it at the rocker so that we can get this welded in the right place. Alright guys, so we got the plug welds across the flange. We got the plug welds alongside the inner rocker there. You can see some of the black from the weld. That was a little bit of a job to get this floor pan down to meet these measurements. It was good back here, but up here it was going uphill. So I'm glad I put the tape there. That all worked out. We got it back to where it was. Now the difference between this floor pan and the one that I took out is that the original floor pan had a curve to it, so it kind of curved down, and this one is just straight across. So trying to get this thing to go down, it was a job. So basically, if you saw what I did there, I basically hammered a pry bar down, which took the floor pan down with it. And then I worked my way up with my plug welds, starting from this end and going this way towards that piece. And then once I had enough plug welds in there, I was able to move it and sort of fix it and finish it off. So a little bit of a job, but we got it done. Quick look underneath. So the last piece we have to fix under here is right here. The passenger side still needs fixed too. It just doesn't fit that good. I'll show you up top. That all turned out good. Alright guys, so right here we are looking at the, here give you the context. So kind of where we're at, we're over here next to the inner rocker. And you can see there's just too much curve there. Pretty good sized gap. So what we're gonna have to do is work our way forward, tacking it and pounding it up to get it good. Alright guys, so I was able to go underneath and tap that up with the body hammer, and it left me with a good sized gap, but that's no problem. We'll go ahead and fill that in with the MIG welder and get it ground down smooth. So yeah, this is the hammer I used. Basically just went up near the edge of the floor pan where it bends and tapped it into place. Alright, at this point we are ready to weld all of this in except for that corner. Remember, we're going to treat that as a separate patch. So we're going to come around and over to here and across, and basically we're just going to keep tacking until that's full. Alright guys, quick look. Got this welded up around here. Skip that for now, we'll come back to that. Got all this welded up. This came in pretty nice with the hammer and screwdriver. So basically what I did is I just tacked my way up and kept pulling it out, and then did the same thing over here, and then used the body hammer to bring this piece in and get it lined up. So that'll clean up pretty nice. And we got all this welded up. So it's all ready to be ground down. I was thinking more about this corner here, and most of the stuff where the holes were was cut out. So I think this metal is good enough to be welded up and used the way it is. A little bit of pitting, but there's no holes in this part here. And up here is pretty good. And same thing right here, this corner is pretty solid. We've got a little spot right here, so I think if we're going to patch anything, it's going to be this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and weld all this up and see how it goes. If it goes pretty well, then we're good. We'll just focus on patching this little area here. If this turns out bad for any reason, then we'll revisit this. But for now, I'm going to use it, and we'll clean the rust up a little bit later. So what I'm going to do here, this floor pan doesn't have a curve here like this does. So we're just going to tack our way up, and then when we get to here, we'll worry about forming the curve for this panel, and then we'll work our way around, and then we'll do the same thing over here, and then we'll fill this gap, and then we'll revisit this last. Let's get to it. Okay guys, just a quick update here. We got this tacked the whole way across. You could probably see in the video how I build these up. Basically just keep adding tacks until I get the whole way across from the panels, because these are pretty large gaps as far as MIG welding sheet metal goes. Way more than what you would ever want. So now that I have the tacks in place, it's going to be easy. You just keep building tacks off the tacks, so it's not difficult from here on out. Getting the tacks across, you just keep building them up like I said. Alright, let's go ahead and weld this all up, and then we'll get this floor pan ground down and call this one done. So now that we have everything welded up, I'm going to go ahead and grind down these welds. And as you've seen in some of my previous videos, one of the fastest ways to grind down these welds when you have a wide open area like this is to use a flap disc on a 4.5 inch angle grinder. So that's what we're going to do. Get all these ground down, make some room up here, and then we'll tackle that hole there. Alright, so we got all of these welds ground down. You can see how nice that turned out there. Fits into one piece. You can check out the bead here. Now my flange wasn't long enough, but that's okay. Got all this. We'll fill in that piece here in a second. This is all welded all the way through. We got the plug welds ground down. Alright, so let's talk about this piece here. So what I do with stuff like this is I start at the bottom and I weld up as far as I can, and then when the gap gets too wide to weld, that's when I cut a piece of sheet metal to put in there, and then I weld the rest of it shut. We're going to go ahead and do that now. This way this piece will be, this floor will be complete. Alright guys, so you can see what I mean right here. So I welded up that far, and now what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of sheet metal to fill the majority of the gap, and we'll just weld in any other small gaps that are left after that. And now I have a scrap piece of metal. Basically, I'm just going to cut a little bit out of here, basically take this straight down and over. Then I'm going to tack weld this in place, fill the gaps, and we can call this done. So we got the patch piece in. It's held in right now with a welding magnet. So with a piece this small, sometimes it's easier to make the hole a little bit bigger, and that's what I did here. I use double cut burrs to do that. Like when I don't have a lot of stuff to remove, I use these. It's real easy to just take this and take a little bit off of there to make it fit that patch. Using cutoff wheel and stuff, it's a little harder to be more precise, you know what I mean? So if you want precision, get double cut burrs. I'll have a link in the description for some. They're actually pretty awesome if you don't have them. So anyway, let's go ahead and weld this in. Alright guys, it's all in. So we got that corner patched up. Get all that. This turned into a bigger job than I expected it to, only because of this piece up here. It just didn't fit right at all, so it increased the time that this took. So, you know, you gotta expect that once in a while. So the underside I didn't do anything with yet as far as welds go and all that. I am going to save that for whenever I do the entire underside of the car, and then I'll clean all that up. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and, well, for tonight I'm going to go ahead and spray OSPO on that area there. OSPO is just a product that converts rust into something you can paint over. So I'm going to spray that tonight and see what it looks like in the morning. And then I'll come back and fiberglass fill all of these welds just in case there's any pinholes. Alright, so that OSPO will turn that black and give us something we can paint over. Still debating on whether or not I should cut that out. I feel like I should. Anyway, let me know what you think. By the way, this piece over here that I thought I was going to have to patch, I was able to just fill it in with weld. So, didn't have to do any extra work there except ground a little more than normal. Here's what this rust spot looks like about 12 hours after OSPO has been sitting on it. Now the instructions say that the OSPO needs to sit on there for 24 hours, so we still got a little bit of time to go. But you can see how it really cleans up the metal, and it's supposed to turn all of that black, so then it's ready for paint. Now, as always, with any type of chemical, make sure that whatever you're spraying over it is not going to impact it. So I've used Eastwood's epoxy over this stuff before and I haven't had any issues. It doesn't mean I won't in the future, but I haven't, and I think it's been okay, so I don't have any concerns there. So I'm thinking after seeing it, 12 hours later after the OSPO, I'm thinking about leaving it here. But again, let me know in the comments what you would do. If you think it should be cut out, let me know and we'll cut it out. Now I'm gonna hold off on my e-brake stuff for now. I'll do that later. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be running the stock setup or not, so I might as well save myself some work. Alright guys, that is it for the partial floor pan patch install for right now. In an upcoming video, we're going to focus on cleaning up the entire interior of the shell and getting some epoxy primer on there, and that's when we'll deal with fiberglass filling any welds and all that stuff, and hopefully some seam sealer and all that stuff. So I really want to get the shell kind of ready. I want to get the inside and the bottom side ready, so that's what we'll be focused on, I think, in the next coming videos, but we'll see. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get alerts whenever we post new videos. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, go ahead and post them down below. If you're working on a build and you're sharing your videos on YouTube or a forum somewhere, go ahead and post the information down below. I'd like to check them out. We'll see you in the next one.